on the banks of Ganga, in the lap of the Himalayas, is just such an incredibly charged and powerful time. So I'm so glad to be back with all of you, and I'm so happy to see all of you. We usually begin satsang with a question that's come in advance, because we've got our audiences joining us from all over the world who, through the gift of technology, join in through Facebook and YouTube or Instagram and so many different wonderful modalities that technology's given us. And because they're not with us physically, not able to be here on the banks of Ganga, we usually start with one of their questions and then open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. So many beautiful questions. How can we overcome weakness? I don't like the word or the concept of weakness. It implies that there's something wrong with us, right? I mean, if you look at a muscle, for example, so Rohan over here is a good bodybuilder. I'm not such a good bodybuilder. And if you looked at our arms together, you would find a real significant difference. Now, if you looked at my muscles, they would be much smaller in size, but not just in the size. You'd find that they were softer. They didn't quite do what I said. So if I say, okay, now go up and become big, well, it's not going to do that. But if he did that, his arm would, go up and become big. Now, I give that example because my muscle is weak compared to his. It's fine for what I need to do to get through my life, but compared to the muscle of someone who really works it out, it's weak. Now, if we were holding value about that, you would say a strong muscle, a muscle that would go up on command like that, is better than a muscle that doesn't. Now, from the perspective of muscle training, I think that's absolutely true, and I should certainly have stronger muscles. But that's not true about who we are. And so when we use words like weak, it makes it seem like we as people are just muscles, and it's just about sort of strengthen us and then we'll be good. Remember that as a muscle gets stronger, it also gets harder. Now, when you're looking for, what are the six-pack abs, right? The goal is they should be hard, strong and hard. But our hearts, our lives, the goal isn't to make ourselves hard. So I don't like the word weakness. Because to me it means that A, there's something wrong with who you are as you are in this moment. B, it means that the improvement on that would be somehow to make yourself stronger and harder. We think of people who are weak as those who maybe are sensitive. Maybe they feel more. Maybe they have more challenges in certain areas, and we don't look at their gifts in other areas. So for me, when someone says, how do I overcome weakness? I'd say the most important thing is realize you're not weak. You may have weak biceps. I have weak biceps. But you are not weak. I don't care whether you have promised every single day that you're going to get up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning and meditate, and you still haven't done it once. You're still not weak. I don't care if you've claimed every day. If every day you've said, I'm going to quit smoking tomorrow, and you still haven't quit. You're not weak. Yes, we should get up early. We should meditate. Yes, if you smoke, you should quit. But failure to do so does not make you weak. And all telling ourselves that we're weak does is it adds self-hatred on top of the fact that we're sleeping through our morning meditations, on top of the fact that we're already killing ourselves with the cigarettes or whatever else we're doing. Now I hate myself on top of that. And so that's just self-harm inflicted upon self-harm. So whatever it is that makes you think you are weak, stop thinking like that. You're not. Now, if you've got goals that you would like to achieve, fantastic. There are pragmatic, practical ways of achieving goals. For example, you want to get up earlier in the morning? Well, A, you've got to start by going to sleep earlier at night. B, you give yourself some rules. For example, until you meditate, no breakfast. Well, you'll find that you'll start meditating. For every 15 minutes after a certain hour that you sleep, that's a certain number of dollars or rupees or euros that you now are not allowed to spend, and they have to go into a bank for charity. There's all kinds of tricks that adopting new habits or changing habits or bringing in better ways of living. There's lots of, it's what we talk about, life hacks, right? They're little tricks, how to make yourself exercise, how to eat better, how to sleep better, how to get up and meditate. But stop thinking that you're weak. You are not. What you need instead of strength compared to weakness is you need self-love and self-honoring. Because the more you actually love and honor yourself, the more you're going to take care of that self. If I say, I'm going to stop smoking, and I'm going to do it just with strength, well, it may or may not work. It may be very difficult. But if instead of berating myself for being weak, I develop a practice, an awareness of self-love, I really become aware of my oneness with all of creation, whatever it is that you think is perfect. You believe in God, great. You don't, no problem. But a flower is perfect, a tree is perfect, a sunset is perfect. No one can deny that. We start to recognize our oneness with the creation, with the perfect flower, the perfect tree, the perfect sunset, the perfect rainbow. And as you start to identify with that, then you realize that you are a part of this perfection. And slowly, slowly that love for the self starts to blossom. And you start to hold yourself in compassion for what you've been through, whatever you've been through. for the baggage you carry, whatever it may be. We've all got stuff. We've all been through challenges. And you start to look at all of that with love and compassion and honoring. And the more you do that, well, the more valuable your life becomes. And the more valuable your life becomes, the less likely you are to want to kill it every 5 minutes. So instead of trying to cultivate a hard strength like a bicep, think about cultivating a soft and juicy love for the self. And an honoring of that self, an honoring of the Creator. Again, however you connect with the divine. But an honoring of that Creator who created you and who doesn't make mistakes. And then you'll find that as you move through the world, there's a care, a tenderness, a love, an honoring that enables you to start engaging in habits that are better for you. You'll start to meditate. You'll eat better. You'll stop smoking. You'll have better relationships. Not because you have to white knuckle it or death grip it or discipline your weak self into it, but because you deserve it. Because you're precious. Whoever you are, wherever you are, by just the fact that you've been created, you're here. You're precious. You're not weak, whatever you've done. You may have been temporarily ignorant. We all are. You may have been temporarily engaged in different habits. We all have them. Start from now. Whatever it is you want to cultivate. When you plant a seed, you don't stand over it going, "You weak, stupid thing." You water it with love. You come out, you talk to it with love. A little sprout comes, you love it. You don't say, "Oh my God, you stupid, weak sprout." Even a worm can eat you up. You're useless. You love it. You bend down, you touch it ever so gently. So love that sprouting newness in yourself as well. If anyone here has any questions, I am happy to take them. Yes.
I just want to elaborate on what you have said.
Can we, before we elaborate on the same one, उससे पहले हम देखते किसी और का कोई प्रश्न हो, फिर हम वापस आ जाएंगे आपके पास. ठीक है? Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Yes.
Namaste, Sadhviji.
Namaste.
So good to see you. So I just want to ask that how can we, stay detached to the person but still loving them? Like we say, you should not attach to that person. Like there's a difference between attachment and unconditional love. So like I get anxious sometimes, thinking that my parents will die, my loved ones will die. So how just can we still loving them and still not get attached to them? Like I still couldn't figure this out. Thank you.
Beautiful. So yeah, the concept of not being attached to relationships, to possessions, to anything is a really core tenet of Indian spirituality. It gets confused a lot though with this idea of not loving or being disconnected. And it isn't that at all. The way that most of us love is very suffocating. Right? Has anybody here ever been loved by a mother, a father, a husband, a wife, a friend, where you knew they loved you, but that love really felt like it was suffocating you? Has anybody ever experienced that? I know I have. Anybody else? Yeah, so most of us have. And the reason is because it's what we tend to do to people we love. Especially when we have these very close relationships with them. We tend not to do it so much to the people we love from afar, but we tend to do it with our children, our parents, our spouses, or girlfriends, boyfriends. And that attachment takes a lot of shape. Number one, they need to be and live and speak and do exactly as we want them to. So we love them, assuming that they are talking to us the way we would like to be spoken to, living their life exactly the way that we think they should be living it, doing what we think they should be doing. Another way to think about it is sort of love with strings, right? I love you, but here's how I expect you to live. And of course, we always say things like, if you loved me, it's not for me I want it. I mean, it's for you I want it. And if you loved me, this is what you would do. You'd come home on time, you'd work less, you'd be nicer to me, you would eat all your vegetables, you would clean your room, you would study harder, you would do better in school, you would only date or marry the type of people I would like you to be dating or marrying. You'd get the type of job that I wanted you to get. Now, we may really love them, but that love is far from unconditional, and it's suffocating them because it's creating a situation where they are not free. Unconditional love just says, I love you. It doesn't mean I don't care how you live. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop reminding you to take your vitamins or eat your vegetables or take care of your health. But it means I'm going to stop needing you to live a certain way for me to be okay. Because underlying all of that we say is actually for the other person is really just my mental peace. I want you to act, to live, to dress, to speak, to choose according to what I think is right. Because otherwise it creates too much anxiety in me. I don't like that anxiety in me, so I'm going to control your life so I don't experience that anxiety. That's obviously not healthy for them, but it's also not healthy for you as the one loving. Because you're constantly needing them to be a certain way. Love is free. Love is open-hearted, juicy, exuberant. When love is constantly looking, did they do the right thing? Are they going to do this? What if they do that? We're stressed, we're worried all the time. Then we're judgmental. Now, in your case, in terms of the attachment to their actual physical bodies. I don't know of a way to love someone deeply and fully and not have an attachment on some level to their body being alive and healthy. We all have it. Because of course when you love someone, yes, on the deepest, highest level, we love their soul, their spirit. But that soul and spirit is manifesting inside this physical body, through this physical body. Our way of interacting with their soul, with their spirit, with their essence, is through that physical body. And so we become attached to it. The dilemma with that is people get sick and die. And especially when it's your parents. Well, assuming that the law of nature works the way the law of nature works, you will bury them rather than them burying you. I mean, if you think about it, the only alternative to you losing your parents is they lose you. Right? There's no other way out. We're all going to die. So either they die first and you lose them, or as you've got this sense of no, that shouldn't happen, essentially what you're saying to the universe is, they should lose me. Which I think is even more painful. I think as children, as painful as it is to lose our parents, there's some level in which we all know at some point it's going to happen. It is the natural order of things. Whereas parents bearing children, there's an element that's significantly more tragic about that, because it's not the natural order of things. So you're not going to stop being attached. There's no magic wand that I can give you. What I would say instead, though, is instead of allowing the anxiety to build around the attachment, because simply loving their physical bodies and, being attached to having them around, that's natural. But instead of allowing it to create the anxiety, that paralyzing attachment, that attachment that says, I cannot live without it, I must have it, that attachment that says, I am so attached to them that if something happens to them, I will also go. Instead of that, allow yourself to really develop a practice of appreciation, of gratitude, of just being grateful in every minute and every moment that they are there. So there's two ways of thinking about it. Here they are sitting in front of you. One way is, oh my God, there's going to come a day and I won't have them. Oh my God, when's that going to be? Oh my God. Another way is, oh God, thank you. Thank you for them sitting here in front of me. Thank you, God. So just allow, oh my God, to become thank you, God, as you think about them. Just allow yourself to express gratitude every minute that they're there. Thank you, God. And you know there will be a moment when they're not there. But why waste the moments where they are, worrying about the moments when they're not? Instead, allow yourself to be in deep appreciation that they are here. And that'll help dissipate that hold of the attachment. Excuse me. Does anyone else have a question?
Hello, Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Yeah, it's such a bliss to really be be sitting in front of you and such divine environment. I'm really grateful to Divine for that. I wanted to know, primarily, in the meditation, if there is some guidelines on how do I actually, well, you get the love for Divine when you sit, but how can I increase my concentration at that moment so that there is no thought that actually disturbs and I actually get into the deepness of oneness? Is there some guidance that you can give?
Beautiful. So, with meditation, it's really about practice, that concentration, that focus. It's about practice. Yes, I can say to you, and we'll end with a meditation, but I can say to you, watch your breath. I can say to you, when your mind wanders, bring it back. I can say to you, recite a mantra. It'll keep the mind focused. But ultimately, you've got to do that practice, and do that practice, and do that practice. Otherwise, the mind is not going to learn how to do that. It's not a technique to just know. It's a technique to experience, to actually have that single-pointed focus. Now, the key thing to realize that's very powerful is your mind can actually only be in one place at a time. We think that our mind is in a million places. But the truth is, at each moment, the mind can actually only be in one place. Which means, if I am conscious and aware of where my mind is, then I have the ability of guiding it. My mind wanders when I lose my consciousness. When I'm no longer present with it, that's when I discover that it's run off to the store, or it's run off into an argument that I had yesterday, or an argument I'm afraid I might have tomorrow, or an argument I had 10 years ago. That's when it goes. When I'm not present and conscious, then the mind goes off on its own. It's like an untended puppy dog, right? So it's about practice to just keep bringing it back. And of course, there's a lot of different things that we can focus on. I find the breath to be number one, the easiest, but also the most powerful. Because the breath is that life force in us. And so it connects us. So why don't we actually end with a meditation? So just everybody close your eyes, find a position that's comfortable. You should be straight, but don't worry about being in a particular asana. You don't want to be rigid. And your hands can either be cupped in your lap in front of you, they can be out on your knees, whatever feels best for you. There's different mudras the fingers can be in, but just choose one for now. And just with the eyes closed, allow the mind ever so gently to just pull inward. The mind is usually flying around all around you. Using your power of attention, let that attention be like a magnet that literally pulls all of those small, small magnetic filings that are what most of our thought waves look like as they fly all over. Let your attention be like a magnet that just pulls them all in. Allow the mind to withdraw from floating all around. And let it anchor in your breath. Let that magnet draw the mind until it is one, merged with the breath. Don't try to change the breath. Just allow that mind to become fully merged into the breath as it flows in and out like the unbroken waves of the ocean. And if the mind wanders, don't worry. Just bring it back. Gently and lovingly bring it back to the breath. You can add a simple mantra if you find that the mind still wanders a little bit. Add the mantra of so hum. You can chant silently to yourself on the inhalation. So. And on the exhalation, hum. It means I am that. I am one with all of creation. I am not separate. I am that. And as the awareness is merged with the breath, and the gentle mantra of so hum chants itself upon the inhalations and exhalations, allow the mind's eye to focus on the third eye center, what we call the Agya Chakra, that center just between the eyebrows. From inside the eye, allow the energy, that energy of the mind's eye, the divine eye, that energy of real sight. Allow that energy to focus onto that third eye center. Still with the awareness on the breath and the chanting of so hum. We just allow that energy to slowly open that third eye center. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. press the palms of your hands gently into your closed eyes. Slowly and gently open your eyes and lower your hands. Have a very beautiful rest of your evening. A very beautiful morning and day if you are joining from around the world. And I look so forward to sitting with you all each evening in satsang.